Say fucking word. Look at the world we live in. So, so some students were given a quiz on Chief Keef's arrest over at Fiske Elementary. I'm going to read to you what the Chicago Sun-Times wrote. Mary Mitchell writes, and I quote, "When teachers give students a research assignment, the subject is usually someone students should try to emulate." Pause the story. No, you should never try to emulate anybody unless you're emulating Jesus. You know, Jesus died on a stick, getting poked in his ribs like a fucking rack of ribs or a rotisserie chicken. Now that's somebody to emulate. I'm fucking with you. Anyway, back to the story. She goes on to say, that wasn't the case at John Fiske Elementary School on the South Side, where a substitute filling in for a teacher on extended leave asked 6th grade students to research the controversial Chicago rapper Chief Keef. Among other biographical facts, students were required to know where the rapper was placed on house arrest and who shot him when he was 16. Quote, "I had never heard of him, but after careful research, I found out his music is about having sex, using the B word, anti-police, and supporting gangs," parent Katrina Sanders said. Quote, "What happened to the musical composers? The music that this teacher is presenting is the very thing that the students don't need. Profanity, drugs, and acting as if being arrested is a badge of honor." End quote. Wait, pause the story. This is the very thing. And then she goes on to name profanity, drugs, and acting as if being arrested is a badge of honor. That's 3 different things. 3 completely different things. Anyway, the story goes on to say a spokesman for the Chicago Public Schools said Principal Cynthia Miller was unaware of the questionable subject matter. The inappropriate project was immediately suspended by the principal as soon as she learned about it. While teachers have flexibility in making assignments, CPS requires them to provide age-appropriate material in the classroom. Spokeswoman Emily Brittner said, Sanders said she had complained for a couple of weeks and staff failed to relay her concerns. CPS declined to identify the music teacher but confirmed she is the substitute. Miller did not return my phone call. End quote. So here's the deal. I'm not going to read to you any more of the article. If you want to see it, you know, there's a link to what is it? The website is DNA Info that I posted on my blog, and in the story to take you to the Chicago Sun-Times so you can read the original story, which is what I started reading from, that I had to stop because it's just too long of a story. Basically, you got the gist of it. Some stupid ass teacher, a female, probably a black woman, put that bullshit in the classroom. Now, for the record, we don't know whether or not she was black. She could be Chinese or Guyanese, but I know what the fuck she's not. And that's Japanese. You see, the Japanese woman would never in a million years, ever in her short-legged life, have students doing stories about Chief Keef. She would have just thrown up the peace sign and said, "Shin Shin." She would have had everybody talking about all sorts of good things. Let me see now. They're in the 6th grade. So what's age appropriate for, 11 and 12-year-olds? Let me see. She would have them talking about Barney and Sesame Street. Now that's appropriate for 11 and 12-year-olds, right, guys? So anyways, but the bullshit and the fuckery didn't stop there. The nonsensical behavior also extended to the 3rd grade, because that was the 6th grade. So here's another story. Now this is from DNA Info. This is written by Sam Cholk. And I'm going to read to you. Now, first of all, the article is titled "3rd Graders Who Study Chief Keef Also Shown Nightmare on Elm Street More." I'm going to read to you the short article. He writes, and I quote, "What do Freddy Krueger, Chuckie, the killer doll, and Chief Keef have in common? Each was part of a substitute teacher's educational offerings to Southside Elementary School kids, some as young as 3rd grade, the students say. More questions arose on Tuesday when what was happening in music class at Fiske Elementary School after young students said they were watching horror movies, as well as doing lessons on rappers like Chief Keef. The rap project was slapped down as quote-unquote inappropriate by Chicago Public Schools officials, and the yet-to-be-identified substitute teacher was yanked from the school at 6020 South Langley Avenue on Tuesday. Tuesday's action came after parents complained their kids were being quizzed on Chief Keef's arrest record and forced in class to listen to music glorifying drugs, gangs, and violence. Students whose parents asked that they not be identified for fear of retribution by school administrators said they had watched multiple horror movies with the same teacher that had taught lessons on rappers using handouts with curse words. Rappers using handouts with curse words. What the fuck is rappers using handouts with? I don't understand what that means. Anyways, story goes on to say, quote, she had a big board and would let us watch anything, said a third grade boy. Pause the story right there. Let you watch anything? Anything? So if somebody threw on some porn, would she let you watch that too? Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. Maybe not anything. Maybe almost anything. Maybe damn near anything. But what should we really be saying? Anything? Anyways, story goes on to say, she had a big board and would let us watch anything, said a third grade boy. He said his class watched Child's Play. An R-rated horror movie from 1988 about a doll named Chuckie that's possessed by the soul of a serial killer. Other students in 3rd to 5th grades said they watched Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and other horror movies. Quote, we didn't want to watch it because we thought we would get into trouble, said one 5th grade boy. It's still unclear why the lesson plans that parents on Tuesday said were clearly inappropriate were allowed to continue at the school for so long. The grandmother, who didn't want to be identified out of fear of retribution against her grandchildren, said she got the feeling something wasn't right when her 3rd grade grandson brought home a handout on the rapper Fetty Wap on November 9th. It had underlined the curse words. Let me fucking find out that this teacher was a black woman. I'm going to take this microphone. I'm going to mail it to Chicago with instructions for her to shove it up her fucking ass. No, but seriously, whoever this teacher is a fucking idiot. Anyways, back to the story. The story goes on to say, quote, this inappropriate project was immediately suspended by the principal as soon as she learned about it. Pause the story right there. Female teacher, female principal. Not trying to sound sexist or misogynistic or anything, but I'm just pointing it out. Quote, this inappropriate project was immediately suspended by the principal as soon as she learned about it. End quote. Emily Bittner, a spokeswoman for CPS, said Tuesday, quote, while teachers have flexibility in making assignments, CPS requires them to provide age-appropriate material in the classroom, end quote. A spokesman for CPS said the substitute will no longer be assigned to schools. You think not? The problems in the Fiske music class came to light on Tuesday after parents complained about the kids being forced to take a quiz on Chief Keef and listening to the rapper's music in class. It's unclear still who knew about the curriculum, which started in September according to screenshots of an online assessment and grade site provided by parents. Some students said other teachers were aware of the lessons in music class, and others said their other teachers were also playing music by Chief Keef and other music that they said made them uncomfortable. Principal Cynthia Miller did not respond to requests for comment. End quote. I would think not. I would think that she would want to keep her fucking mouth shut in this particular situation. She probably only make things worse. So here's the deal. Chief Keef, Fetty Wap, and Freddy Krueger. How about Freddy Wap? I'm going to dress up as fucking Freddy Wap in 2016 on Halloween. I'm going to have the fake eye with the fucking glove with some dreads hanging from beneath the hat. Some blonde fake dreads. That shit is going to be on fleek. I'm going to make a video called A Nightmare on 738 Remy Street. Nah. Nobody will watch that shit. Anyways, let me know what you think about it all below. Be sure to subscribe to the Meat Magazine YouTube channels. Visit meatmagazine.blogspot.com gmail.com for more. Don't have any nightmares over this story, guys. I mean, there's not really much I can say about it other than fucking Freddie Wap. Do you want to go my way to Elm Street, motherfucker?